Well, welcome everyone to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960 AM. I'm going to bring you an interview with a fascinating young lady from Beirut, Lebanon, Dr. Manal Naboulsi, who is a PhD from the International School of Management in Paris, France, someone who I met during my doctoral studies, and a really impressive lady who's making her life and livelihood in Beirut, Lebanon. And I thought it would be interesting to check in with her for a couple of reasons. Number one, what's happening just in daily life in Beirut, in the Middle East. And then number two, what's happened with the economy in Lebanon, because, you know, this pandemic that we're going through is only the most recent of the challenges that Lebanon and a lot of countries in the Middle East have encountered. And then number three, Manal is a very smart lady, and she's launched this coaching business. And so I think it'd be interesting to chat with her about how businesses and people are dealing with this current situation. So Manal, great to see you again. How are you?
Hey, Brian. It's nice to see you after all these years. It's been a long time.
It has been. So whereabouts? You're in Beirut, Lebanon. Are you like right downtown or in the suburbs or whereabouts?
In Beirut, in downtown, exactly. Yes.
And how, I don't even know Lebanon that well. How big is Beirut?
Oh, it's not that big. It's a very small country. And we're with this very small population of 6 million. That's it. We're so close to what we call the Switzerland. And we've been the east of the Switzerland as it was in Lebanon with its greenery, with its weather, and the beauty places of here. So you have to visit us one day.
I'd love to. I've seen pictures of Lebanon where you've got beaches and people out sunbathing at the same time as you've got mountains where people are skiing.
Oh, so exactly. During a period of a time like April or February, you could be skiing in the mountains, then go down to the slopes and go down to the sea and have a different weather with a beautiful Mediterranean Sea. And it's amazing with all the culture, the food that it has, the museums that we have, and especially the beautiful people and the hospitality that we are living in. So we love to live. That's it. It never sleeps. Lebanon or Beirut never sleeps. You're in a 24 hours constant fun as going out, working, and enjoying the time as it is with pubs, restaurants, clubs, nightlife that is really beautiful.
Now I've heard that about Beirut and about Lebanon. Sort of like I would have not described it as Switzerland, but as sort of the New York City of the Middle East, the city that never sleeps. And yet during this pandemic, are bars and restaurants and pubs open?
No, everything closed down. Everything is closed since Lebanon took a very brutal thing about this, which it started on the 21st of February. We had the first case of the coronavirus infection. And after that, 8 or 10 days after that, the schools closed, then the bars, restaurants, malls, parks, public places, and even the airport closed. So by the time everything was really in a lockdown, on mid of March around, the entire country was shut down. We only had the supermarket that are open and the pharmacies. And we could do deliveries to the houses, definitely. If it's from the restaurants or from places that we need the stuff from, you could have the deliveries out to the house, but everything is closed, every single thing, and we can only go out depending on your on the number of the plate of your car. So if it's even, you go on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or if it's an odd number, you go on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday no one can go out.
Sunday no one can go out.
No. And you're allowed to have a curfew, Brian. You have a curfew. You can go out from 5 in the morning till 7 in the evening. Now, because of Ramadan and the iftar, they're trying to push it till 9 in the evening as of tomorrow. But you have restriction. After that, everyone should be home.
So every night you have a curfew. And how long has that curfew been on? Since mid-March?
Since mid-March, exactly.
Oh my God. So you've taken a very stringent approach to social distancing, more so than we've got in North America.
Exactly. It was really amazing. This is the only beautiful thing that the new government has done since the revolution of Lebanon that started in 2019, in October 2019. They have done so many mistakes, so many bad things, but they have really astonished us in how they made it in a perfect way for not to have infection, especially that we have planes that were coming from Italy, from Spain, from Paris, from Iran in February, and you had to accommodate back all the people that were there, especially that they are Lebanese. So you had to open the airports for them and to do CPR for all the people that are coming, and to give them a place to stay if they don't have a place to stay with alone for 14 days. And we didn't have the equipment, so people started helping the hospitals, especially the governmental hospitals, with money, with the mask, with equipment, just to have all these to maybe to decrease the infections in that period. And the good thing is that we only around 700 people that got infected. Only 700 cases in Lebanon up till today, and around 20 people died. That's it.
That's a fantastic result. So that clearly the social distancing has worked.
Yes, it worked. Yep.
And I understand that you're now...
Whenever you go out, the thing is, whenever you go out from the house after 7 p.m., you get a fine. Or whenever you go out and your plate is not the plate number that you are allowed to go out, automatically there are police stations everywhere. They stop you and you get a fine. Unless you have a job to go to, you go in a taxi or you go walking. So they restricted everything, and it was really amazing. This is why we preserved all of this, and we didn't increase in number.
And was the population supportive of the government moves in this regard?
Yeah, mostly yes. Mostly, let's say 70% of the population who are really aware of that. They really were following all the restrictions and abiding by the rules of the government, and all the country was in shutdown. Even the small businesses, big businesses, malls, everything is shut down. Whatever we need, they can be provided through deliveries and everything, delivery to the house. So we had everything that was ready for us to be done. The problem is we don't have the money. That was the problem in Lebanon. The problem is that our money is locked down in the banks, and we had some political problems, we had some economical problems since the revolution, and things are really aggravating the last 2 days because we're having lots of problems with the dollars that is increasing in a certain way. But I think we still have hope. I believe in hope. Whatever is going, everything goes in a slope, in a certain way where if you need to feel the bad things, and at the end of the tunnel there is, you have to have faith in certain ways.
We're chatting tonight with Dr. Manal Naboulsi from Beirut, Lebanon. We're going to take a break for traffic and messages and come back more with Manal in just a minute. Stay with us.
Just stay positive, and we're going to be back with you.
Well, welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour, Saga 960. We're chatting with Dr. Manal Naboulsi, who is a fellow student of mine from the Institute of the International School of Business Management in Paris, France. And she's got her doctorate in business. And she's a wonderful young lady, very, very smart. And she lives in Beirut, Lebanon, where she's got a coaching business. And we were just chatting a little bit about what it's like in life. And Manal, I think what you're saying is the restrictions that seem to be very severe and seem to have really worked are now opening up. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. We're gonna start by tomorrow opening up in different phases, in 4 or 5 different phases. So starting tomorrow till the 8th of June, the schools will be open, the malls will be open, the businesses will be open again, but gradually in different phases, so they could see how things would go as a first stage, opening the things that are public, and then where they're going to open pubs, clubs, and restaurants, but with the smaller capacities. So they're going to start with the 30% capacity till they see if there's no other wave of the pandemic and the COVID-19, we're gonna be open again, hopefully back into life.
Now, are people wearing masks, or are they being told to wear masks?
Yes, you're not allowed to go into the supermarket unless you have your mask and or a shield or anything on your face just to protect yourself, and definitely the gloves, definitely all the time, the gloves and the hand.
And what about in restaurants? You're going to have to wear a mask and gloves in a restaurant?
I think for now they didn't give the restriction how they're going to have it, because restaurants will start open in mid of May, in the 11th of May. So they're saying the only thing is the capacity. You're only having if the restaurant's capacity is 100 people, you're allowed to have only 30 people in that time.
So they're reducing the capacity of restaurants by 2/3, and you're only allowed to have 1/3 of what you were previously allowed.
Exactly, as a first phase. Yep.
So it's like every second or third table is going to be available, but 2 other tables are going to be vacant.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, that's fascinating. Now, the way you've described Beirut of being such an alive place with everyone, interacting and partying and drinking and having fun, is that going to negatively impact, do you think, the fun aspect of Beirut?
I don't think it will negatively impact. I think we've been taking life for granted, and this pandemic has changed a lot of things. We've been running fast. It was a fast life all the time. We were just waking up, going to our jobs, then going out with our friends, then visiting other people. We didn't have a time for ourselves. So I think the pandemic will change a lot of things in a better way. We will be more connected to ourselves from inside, I believe. So we don't need to live as before. We don't need the chaotic Beirut and everything that has to be all the time on a waiting list to call a restaurant to reserve, or on a waiting list to go out. We need to just settle a bit and relax. We have time for everything. Why not to have time for ourselves more, and then think of what we can do outside of ourselves?
Really, this is interesting. So you actually think that this pandemic is going to be helpful to us as well, at least in Beirut, as humans?
I believe in that. I believe it was a big lesson. For me, it was a big lesson. It was as if I need to stop for a bit and to look inward of what I have been doing, what I have been procrastinating, what I have been suffering for a long time, but I wasn't healing all of these sufferings inside of me because I was in a certain roller coaster over there. I wanted to be the best. I want to go out. I want to have fun. Whereas, what about me inside of me? I needed sometimes you need to have a break from everything for you to go inward and to heal yourself, to clean yourself, as the universe now is cleaning itself from all our pollution, the cars, the things that we were doing. Now we can see that the weather is better, the sky is clearer. If this is happening to the universe, what is now happening to you inside of you while you're being locked down? You're sitting with your fears. You're sitting with your thoughts, with your limiting beliefs. You're trying to see how you can deal with them later on. We're trying to see exactly what you can do or what you can change right now for you to become better later on. So it has changed a lot to me. For myself, I have been working a lot on myself. It's been like 2 months now, and I've done a lot. Although I'm a life coach, I help people out all the time. I didn't have time for myself. I didn't have time to heal or to think or to remove all these limiting beliefs that I had. But that was the time for me to enjoy it for myself.
What is it that you've been doing for yourself? Tell me about this sort of journey of self-exploration.
Well, first of all, I'm more working on my inner self, where I've put on all the things that I've been procrastinating for the past year, like working out more frequently. I used to work out once a week. Now I'm working out every day for the past 2 months. So I created a certain habit in my life, a positive habit. I'm working on different coaching techniques and webinars and courses, and I got more accreditation in that I have stopped doing them because I didn't have time for that before. And I'm sitting with myself more. I'm connecting with what I want to be, what I am now. I'm being more mindful. Before that, I was all the time thinking, how would I get clients later on? What would I want to do tomorrow? What was really annoying me in the past? I was not living the present. Nowadays, or now, I'm more living or more being mindful about myself, my feelings. It's just being aware of what is going on inside of me, my body, my mind, and my soul. And it's really healing. That you would see it later on. Whenever you be encountered with so many problems, you would know that you have created something new in your life, which is being more mindful and loving yourself for what you are and loving your flaws in a certain way.
Loving your flaws. That's interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
How do you love your flaws?
When you accept yourself more, when you say to yourself that I am that way, it's okay not to be okay all the time. I sometimes have fears. I have sometimes fear of commitment. So the fear of commitment is coming from bad experience that I had before. I used to criticize myself a lot. I used to say to myself, you're a bad person. You're not lucky enough to be in a relationship. And I used to accuse myself of being weak in that. Now I'm accepting that weakness. I'm accepting that fear. And I need to turn that fear into consciousness more. And I need to make it or to reframe it to say to myself, if that happened in the past, that doesn't mean that it will happen again. If I need to take the past as a learning, I need to understand these imperfections that I had. And I need to have it as a learning for myself, for me to achieve better in the future. Before that, it was all locked and blocked and limited. And I thought that I cannot get out of those limitation because those were beliefs that are innate in me. But it turned out that you could rewire your brain. And by rewiring your brain,
how can you rewire your brain?
There's the good thing about it is the neuroplasticity of the brain. Okay, the neuroplasticity of the brain is that the brain is able to rewire and to change the thoughts and the feelings and the actions that you used to have about yourself. So the more you rewire it, the more you connect the beautiful dots. The same way as you go and every day, imagine you go to your work from that place to that place, you go to your work and you drive that pathway. Imagine you change your location of the work and you go the next day, you put on your clothes and you go to your work. Where do you go? To the old one or to the new one?
The new one.
No, automatically you would think that you'll be going to the old one. You'll be driving as if you're going to the old location of the house or location of the job. So your mind will need some time to rewire and to rethink and to redirect to the new location. The same thing in the thoughts and the same things in the feeling. If my mind used to think that I'm not good enough, okay, I need that neuron in my mind to shrink and to replace those patterns that I used to have with positivity and with an empowering belief. The more I say to myself, I'm powerful, the more I start rewiring it.
Okay, so you come to this conclusion that you had commitment problems, and that was based on a former relationship, and you've decided that that's a flaw that you can live with, and you're going to rewire your brain. And what you say is that you get the sense that you're confident, that you're courageous, that you can do it, and you're rewiring your brain. Now,
yes,
exactly how do you do that?
Positive affirmation.
Positive affirmation.
Yep. You say and you repeat.
So you repeat a little saying to yourself every day?
Yes, yes. We repeat it every day for our mind to believe it, for our mind to start seeing the truth, the new truth, the empowering belief. We say it in a positive way. And whenever we see ourselves drifting back to the old belief, we need to remember or to remind ourselves, because the mind itself okay, cannot differentiate between the reality and what's not real. If you keep telling your mind that you're weak, you're not good enough, that mind, we're gonna believe you, and we're gonna act as if you're not good enough. And that would be reflected on your emotion and on your body. The moment that you start saying bad things, your mind would reflect that on your body. You'll have pain in your body and the muscles, and your feelings will be down. The more you say positive things, the more your mind will start believing it. So positive affirmation would help. Being mindful and practicing mindfulness practices as meditation, mindfulness breathing techniques, writing on the journaling things about your thoughts, how you can change your thoughts, reframing your thoughts from what you can't achieve to what you want to achieve. I cannot say I want to stop smoking. I want to say I want to become healthier. So you have to know exactly what words you're using to that mind. This mind is very sensitive. You have to know exactly that you can change your mind. If you change your mind, you can change your life. If you change your thoughts, you can change your life. So the moment that you start working and believing in yourself, things will start changing in your life.
Well, this sounds extremely inspirational. Is this mantra that you repeat every day something you write down and read, or is it just something you say in your head?
Something you write down. I tell my clients every day, when they create a mantra for them or a positive affirmation, they have to write it every day on their agenda. And they have to repeat it in front of the mirror every day 10 times. And they have to put it on a sticky note next to their desk or drawers or anything, so their eye, mind, and body can see it, feel it, and say it. And the more you say it, the more you believe it.
Can you give us an example of your daily mantra?
I am a confident, intellectual, beautiful soul, and I'm achieving whatever I want in my life.
I'm a confident, intellectual, beautiful soul.
And I'm achieving whatever I want in my life.
Awesome. Well, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing us with it.
You're most welcome. Anyone could have a mantra or positive affirmation. Just try to think of what is a thing that is making you insecure or limited. What is the thing that you want to get rid of? If you say to yourself, I am not good enough, I'm going to fail in that. Say to yourself, I am going to pass. I am confident, I am strong, and I'm going to study it. Put it in a SMART goal even. Put it in a specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bounded way. The SMART goals that we use in business, put it in that way. I say to myself, I'm going to be a confident person. I'm going to work out every day for 1 hour, starting today till next month. I'm going to work on my abs. That is a SMART goal. And you could see that your mind will start rewiring because you want to achieve that goal. You're not saying a goal that you want to stop. You're saying something that you want to become. And that's so beautiful.
Saying something every day that you want to become, making it a goal that is achievable. Well, you know, Manal, it's a wonderful description of your daily mantra. Thank you so much. We're going to take a break for traffic and messages and come back more with Dr. Manal Naboulsi in just a minute. Well, welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour, Saga 960. We're chatting tonight with Dr. Manal Naboulsi from Beirut, Lebanon. And we've had a fascinating conversation about her coaching and her meditation and her daily mantra, which sounds fantastic. And maybe we'll get her to repeat it again later on. But maybe, Manal, we could switch right now. I think Lebanon's gone through some really tough times in the last couple of years. And you were talking about how money is locked down and you had a revolution a couple of years ago. You've got a new government. Tell us a little bit about what's gone on in the last couple of years in Lebanon, if you could.
First, you have to understand that on the 17th of October, a revolution started in Lebanon, okay? And the government resigned. The banks in Lebanon closed for weeks over here. And people were limited with financial things, we were limited with the money, we couldn't withdraw money. And then the majority of the Lebanese were becoming poorer and poorer. And what added more of this agony, not only the global lockdown, it was that the dollar was raising a lot. And It seems that everything was really in a lockdown, even our money, even everything. The revolution was really a rebellious action against all corruption that was happening, because we had so many money that that had been leaked out from the country, especially from politicians, illegally or maybe illegitimately. They've leaked out their money outside Lebanon, and they leaked out their money in dollars. So one day we woke up, there were no dollars in Lebanon, nothing. Our money in the bank was only a number, or is still only a number. So we couldn't withdraw. We had a limit per day, then we had a limit per week, then we had a limit per month to withdraw the amount of dollars. Especially if you are paid in dollars, you were not allowed to take out the money because it was only a number. So that aggravated a lot the Lebanese population, and the revolution started in a very beautiful way at first, but things didn't change. The only thing that changed is that the government resigned. That's it. This is that they have done. They have resigned, and then they formed another government like a few months ago, or even 2 months ago, and we didn't trust this new government because it was really impacted by different parties. And we don't want any political parties anymore in Lebanon, especially that Lebanon has like different religions and different sects. We have around 19 different sects in Lebanon, from the Muslims to the Christians to the Druze, to different sects in Lebanon, and each sect has a different political party. So we had this problems of who is in power and who wants to power the other people. So you had the weak people, and we had the strong people, and we had people who are in the middle, who lost their jobs, who lost their homes, everything. We didn't have anything to do. We only had one thing to do, is to revolt and to say something, or to try to change. Up to now, with the COVID and the outbreak, we're still locked down. The money, we're not seeing any money. The prices are raising a lot in the supermarkets. Now everything is like 50 or 70% plus. Can you imagine? So the poor population is really suffocating in a drastic way. Things are really being more aggravated. And I don't know where we'll go. I don't know what will happen next. I don't know how things would go. The only thing that can be done, if they can get back this money that they have leaked out of Lebanon.
And is the government doing things to try to get back this money that's been leaked out of the country?
Until now, nothing. They're giving promises, but nothing. Until now, everything is developing in a certain way, especially these 2 days. Let me give you an example. The bottle of milk that we used to pay $5 for it, now we're paying $50 or $60 for it. The
$50 for a bottle of milk?
Yes. The pack of cheese is now $40. A small pack of cheese is now $40, the imported ones. And you're like, what's happening? What has changed during this week is the things that have been going on in Lebanon since the start of the Syrian war in 2011. It started to aggravate during that time. And now we're seeing what has been going on from the start of the things that started in Lebanon. It didn't happen today, and it didn't happen a month ago. It has been accumulating since years ago, and now it was the bomb. I think we need a miracle. I think we need a miracle for the revolution to get back into track, for the COVID or for the outbreak to stop, so we could go back on the street and we could go back on striking and revolting against all the things that are really not fair to us, not fair to the Lebanese. If we organize back the things that are happening, if we try to get back into removing all the corrupted politicians, we can get back into life. It needs like 2 to 3 years maximum to turn back Lebanon into a better country. But we need the money back. We need all our rights to be given so we could breathe again.
Now, you used a pretty extreme description. You said that the poor are suffocating. If the poor are suffocating, what is it that the government can do to potentially help them?
The thing is, they're not doing anything. We have NGOs that are trying to help. We have Lebanese who are standing hand in hand to help each other. But the government is only giving them a very small amount of money. Now they have decided after the outbreak to give them around $200 or $300 in Lebanese pound, just to help them in this COVID-19 and to help them in the problems. We're not paying now taxes, we're not paying rents, nothing. They try to postpone that till like 2 months from now, but they're not working. Can you imagine the taxi drivers, the bus drivers? Everyone is off. No one is even working. The ones that needed their $5 per day as an income, they're not having it. So we have NGOs that are helping, but the problem is politically. They help who they want them to vote later on.
Right.
So everything is political. That's the problem over here. I think we need to remove all this, these politicians that really thought that they can only buy people with their money, and we need to have new blood. We need to
Maybe
have
they need someone like you to be running for politics.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
So is the current government from one of the sects or one of the religions, or is it a government from numerous different religions and sects?
From different religions and sects. Yes. Over here, the president should be Christian. The prime minister should be Muslim, and they have a diversity. They have a certain voting for each sect to be part in the governmental and in the elections. So everyone would have a vote. But the thing is, we always have this: who's the boss? They have a boss for each political issues. Like in each sect, they have someone who they would follow. They try to follow people, whereas I'm against following any political person. I'm with following a government that has no political standards, nothing. We have to be working for Lebanon. We're not working for any sect. We're not working for any person who belongs to any sect or to any religion in a certain way.
So tell me, if you could, what's the relationship between Lebanon and your neighboring countries right now? Are they positive? Are they all on hold? You know, we've heard a lot about the war in Syria. We certainly heard a long time ago about wars between Lebanon and Israel. We've heard about issues with Jordan. What's happening in the whole area?
Well, in fact, you know that Lebanon has the refugees from Syria and from Palestine. So if we are like 6 million Lebanese, with the refugees, we're around 7 to 8 million. We have around 2 million refugees from Syria, and we have lots from Palestine. So we've been encountering lots of these since the war in Syria. The problem is that they live in areas that are really crowded. So this is what we fear. If something spreads over there as corona or any virus, and it's a very crowded places, this would become so pandemic. So we're trying to restrict that. We're trying to work with the UN for them to help us with all of this. The same thing for the Palestinian refugees. Whereas now the boundaries with Syria are closed because of COVID-19. It has been closed since a month now. So no one can go to Syria, no one can come from Syria unless they are Lebanese and they have a certain permit to come into. But other than this, we're in good connection, definitely. We're neighbors with Syrians and with the Palestinians, definitely not with Israel. We still have the problems. We still sometimes hear the planes and coming around, and they're trying to oversee what's going on in Lebanon, especially that they have problems with Hezbollah, the same thing. But we're still against anything that has to do with the intervention of Israel into the Lebanese government and the Lebanese life.
The refugees, are they primarily in refugee camps, or are they in Beirut? And those camps, are they far away from Beirut, or are they close to Beirut?
They're in refugee camps, definitely far away from Lebanon, from Beirut, in different areas in the north or in the south, depending where they're located, definitely. But I don't know exactly where and how they do it.
So yeah, no, it seems like keeping COVID-19 away from those refugee camps is critical.
Yeah.
You're doing that by not allowing people to come in from Syria. Are there other restrictions in place between regular Lebanese and the refugee camps that are completely ring fencing those refugee camps?
No, what they're doing is, if they're seeing a place or an area in Lebanon where there is an increased number of coronavirus infections in people, they're trying to close that areas. Like in one of the areas called Bsharre, they closed it down, they locked it down because they had like around 10 or 15 cases of infection. So they closed it. No one can go into that area, and no one can go out from that area, so not to be infecting other areas for 14 days. So this is what they're doing. Any area who's, or a certain place that has so many infection, it's closed down from the whole boundaries. And so just to heal and to give them all the 2 weeks quarantine for them to heal and for them not to be infectious. And if they need treatment, they have their own hospital over there.
Now, I met you in Paris, and it seemed to me that you traveled a fair amount internationally. And Beirut and Lebanon, at least with business people, were very connected internationally. What's going to happen, do you think, in the future with Beirut business? Are they going to be able to be as connected internationally with their neighboring countries, or are we going to end up being far more segmented and separated in the future?
I think the good thing about it is that you can connect with people virtually. So all businesses, or my business as a coach and a life coach, everything is now through virtual and Zoom meeting. I'm doing everything virtually. I've closed, although I still have my office, but it's been like 2 months that it's closed. And I say to myself, it's better now not to risk anything, because when I go back home, my family, I have my daughter, I have my mother, I don't want to have risk in that. So as a first period, everything should be virtual. You could do your business on a virtual way. You could try to decrease or try to manage that connection between places or between countries till you get back into track. The same thing that happened with the Spanish flu in like 100 years ago. It took them 2 years to finish. It took them 2 years to finish that lockdown. So it will be on different phases. As a first phase, you should start with your own country. You should start working throughout what you have. And secondly, you could start working out and opening up. It needs time. It needs time for us to adapt and to trust again, to shake other people's hand in a certain way. One thing, like I remembered when I was in Tony Robbins' event in London, it was like 10,000 people in that event, and it was a few years back. And that event, we used to whenever we enter that event, 10,000 people would be loving and hugging each other and kissing each other. So I was wondering if one day I can go back to Tony Robbins' event and hug all these people that I don't know. We need some time for your mind to understand that they are safe and you are safe. So everything is what is, in a way, you get used to it with habits, by creating habits. Now the habit is what? The habit is you want to be safe, and you put a mask, you put all these gloves on for you to be protected. Later on, you're going to remove that mask. You're going to maybe say hi to people without having the mask. And in later stage, you're going to shake hands. Later, on another stage, you're going to hug. So things would come, but on a way that is exactly 100%.
Well, we're having an interesting chat with Dr. Manal Naboulsi from Beirut, Lebanon. We're going to take a break for traffic and messages and come back. And I'm going to ask her a little bit about what her message is to us all at this time of of social isolation. Stay with us. Well, welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour, Saga 960. We're chatting tonight with Dr. Manal Naboulsi from Beirut, Lebanon. She is a PhD from the International School of Management in Paris, France. She's on the member of a board of directors for a university in Beirut, and she's a coach. And she's been describing to us some of the challenges of life in Beirut. She's been describing some of the challenging economic situations with the revolution and control over money. But she also had some really interesting comments for us on that she thought this pandemic might actually be helpful. And Manal, I heard this fascinating review that someone put on Facebook or something, and probably lots of people have seen this, but it was like we were all sent to our room for a timeout because of the way we've been acting and treating the world. It does seem like we've been sort of sent for a timeout, doesn't it?
I would say it's a spiritual retreat.
A spiritual retreat?
Yes.
Why?
It's amazing spirit. Whenever you are in a retreat, you're healing yourself. You're sitting with yourself. Spiritual retreat is somewhere where you can be with yourself and understand what happened before and why it happened before and how you can heal yourself. And I think we're not into anything that we're not socially disconnecting from anyone. We're only physically disconnecting from people, but socially we're still having the social life through the virtual meeting and the phone and the Zoom and everything. So it's only a physical disconnection from people. And spiritual because you're going inward, you're not going outward. You're going inward to your soul, to your mind, and to your body. You're trying to see exactly how you can do it. Everyone was saying or giving the advices of whenever the pandemic started, saying that do this, read a book now, stop procrastinating, do a to-do list, and start your journaling or anything. I say to these people that I have started this journey like a few years ago. In 2017, I started changing and shaping my life. And it turned out that journaling, meditation, mindfulness, being present, the mantras, the yoga, the positive affirmation are all a spiritual way for living a better life, for you to decrease all these overthinking. We have like 50 to 70,000 thoughts per day. So can you imagine if mostly 20 or 50% of these thoughts are negative? What is happening to your mind? You need some time to understand or to decrease all these overthinking. So the only way is to do it is by believing in yourself, loving yourself, enjoying. So this is where our part as coaches come. I help a lot of people in healing themselves and in love and relationship, how to be better in their relationship, how to love themselves, because you cannot give love if you don't love yourself. You cannot forgive people if you don't forgive yourself. You cannot be good to other people if you're not good to yourself. So the image that you want to have for other people, you want to other people to see you in a way, or for you to be good, you have to trust again that. And everything can start within. That's why the pandemic and the lockdown is the perfect time to start all over again, to start healing and baby steps, to do the baby steps, at least do 1% every day. If you do one thing every day in a very beautiful day, in a very beautiful way, every day you do it in a 1%, 100 days, you can reach beautiful things and even less. So can you imagine what can you rewire in that brain? You can do magic. And we all had the struggles, all had bad stories. Why not to? I had the bad stories. I had so many struggles in my life, agonies. The same stories as you have the same story of everyone. I was not good enough at things, and I used to procrastinate. But there is one thing that made me do this effort is when I've looked in the mirror and I saw that I'm only appreciating people, or I'm only loving people because I'm afraid to lose them. Whereas if you want to really love people, you have to really start with yourself.
This is wonderfully inspirational. Manal, can you repeat to us again your daily mantra, please?
My daily, I have so many different. So one of them is I am a beautiful, confident, intellectual person, and I can reach whatever I want in my life.
Wonderful. Manal, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure seeing you again. I hope we stay in touch.
Thank you, Brian. It was amazing, and I hope to see you soon. Stay safe, stay home, and stay beautiful.
Thank you so much. Good night, everybody. Well, that was just a fascinating conversation with Dr. Manal Naboulsi from Beirut, Lebanon. She's a life coach, and I think she had some really interesting comments to make about using this time of self-isolation to work on yourself. And I think a lot of people aren't doing it. And I think that her suggestions of thinking it as a spiritual retreat were really intriguing and fascinating recommendation. And journaling and daily mantra and working on yourself and being mindful. You know what? I think we need to think about what she was recommending rather than, frankly, some of the things that some of our political leaders are talking about, at least some of the political leaders from the South. And I think the attitude that this isn't a time of social distancing, this is just a time of physical distancing, and that we need to socially connect with people, whether it's virtually through Zoom or whether it's through the people that are in our house. So thank you, Manal, so much for those incredible